Bienvenidos a Alimentos y Regiones. Vamos a hablar hoy de la hidrovía del Rin porque encontramos a un hombre que la conoce, la disfruta y disfruta también difundir cómo la administra y cuánto ese río contribuyó y contribuye hoy al desarrollo de Europa. Hans van der Werf es un holandés que ocupa el cargo de secretario ejecutivo de la Comisión Central para la Navegación del Rin, que tiene su sede en Estrasburgo, Francia. La hidrovía del Rin recorre 1.320 kilómetros desde su nacimiento en los Alpes suizos hasta el Mar del Norte. Son navegables 833 kilómetros, pero a través del canal Meno, de 171 kilómetros, se conecta con el río Danubio, atravesando Europa entera de este a oeste en 3 semanas. Son dos cuencas muy diferentes, de las cuales el Danubio, que desemboca en el Mar Negro, conserva mejor su equilibrio ambiental, a diferencia del río Rin, que como consecuencia de la gran industrialización de los años 70 y 80 del siglo pasado, sufrió una fuerte degradación que están revirtiendo con firmeza. ¿Cuál es su inicio? ¿Desde cuándo comenzó el hombre a servirse del Rin?
Well, it depends on where you want to start. In fact, the Romans and the Vikings already entered the European mainland by the navigable rivers. So you may say all the 2 millennia of civilization in Europe, the rivers were used for communication, for trade, for economy, and of course for the movement of people. But the very beginning of, let's say, the present situation may start at the beginning of the 19th century, after the Napoleon Wars, when the great powers of Austria, of the United Kingdom, of Russia, but also Prussia and France were looking for ways to stabilize the European continent and to avoid wars in connecting the economies, bringing the economies more together. And to do that, the prerequisite were, of course, the ways of communication. And at the time, rivers were the only ways of communication available, immediately available. There were no railways, there were no roads for large and continuous transport. So the rivers played an essential role in this objective to bring economies together.
Es un fenómeno interesante que en la Comisión del Rin todos los Estados miembros tienen su lugar en los asuntos que se resuelven, pero esa posición no es igual para todos los países y eso le da a la organización una dinámica muy positiva.
I'll explain. If you look at Switzerland and France, they have interest in getting a direct access to the sea by the River Rhine, not being hampered by all kinds of rules set by the different riparian states. Then we get Germany. Germany has a hinterland, is a hinterland for the River Rhine. It has huge industries, steel industry, chemical industry, energy plants for the generation of electricity,
Yes.
oil industry. So they need the supply by the river, huge volumes. So the interest of Germany is not necessarily the shipping as such, but the supply of the industry. Then we get the Netherlands and Belgium. they have seaports. And they have also quite a substantial share in the transport as such. Seaports of Rotterdam, of Amsterdam, but also Antwerp. You see, and if you take this all together, none of the 5 member states can allow to block the system.
Of course.
There might be before a question where, well, they need to do a concession. But they are quite willing to do it because at another time, for another question, they gain, they have an advantage. And so this particular mix of interest of the member states makes that the CCNR always finds a solution.
Lo escucho con asombro y cierta envidia, y pienso en nuestra hidrovía Paraguay-Paraná y su interminable reñidero de intereses pequeños, la contaminación política y la corrupción. Recuerdo también la prepotencia de un funcionario del anterior gobierno que en forma patoteril se ufanaba de tener la llave del río. ¿Esto sería concebible en el Rin?
No. If you look at the geographical situation of the River Rhine, you might say, indeed, Germany has the key, because 800 kilometers of the River Rhine goes through Germany. And, well, they could determine, in fact, what they want, what is being done with the river. But it doesn't work like that. If Germany would do that, what would be the attitude of the Dutch or of the Swiss? They would not accept. And Germany would be finally the loser, because the German industry is dependent of the efficiency of the river. It is not a matter of the economy of the shipping sector, the shipping industry as such. That's secondary. Primary for Germany is the industry, as it is primary for the Netherlands and for Belgium to get optimal conditions of the seaports. So the Netherlands and Belgium would never block the process in Strasbourg, because they would immediately affect the competitive position of the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp. You see, and this particular mix of interests creates a certain dynamics in my organization, enforcing, in fact, or forcing, obliging each of the member states to give and to take. It goes together.
Of course, yes. El agua corre indiferente frente a nosotros. Los buques con carbón, cereal, lo que fuera, desfilan frente a nosotros en este pueblo apacible que parece mirar indiferente a toda la riqueza que desfila. La prioridad como carga la tienen el carbón y el mineral de hierro, porque esos productos tienen desventajas competitivas frente a otras industrias ubicadas cerca de la costa. La industria del acero en Alemania está a 200 kilómetros hacia el interior y de otra forma sería imposible por los costos.
What you could say is that the German ironworks in the Duisburg region, they keep their stocks in Rotterdam, and they are supplied on a day-to-day basis according to the needs of the ironworks themselves. So they specify the quality of the ore and the quantity of the ore they need, let's say by the end of the week. And this material is being supplied from the beginning of the week. They do not have, or hardly, any stock on the ironworks themselves. As soon as the material arrives in Duisburg, it gets into the
horno.
Yeah. So you might say the transport, the supply of this material is an integrated part of the industrial process. It should not be distinguished as a separate logistic activity. It is an integrated logistic activity. So this transport is carried out with a very high sensitivity regarding delivery times, regarding volumes, regarding reliability. So it's a highly professional, let's say, organization.
Todos los argumentos que Hans nos cuenta apuntan a un aspecto vital, la competitividad. Y eso me lleva desde aquí, desde la orilla del Rin, a pensar en la Argentina y me convenzo más que nuestro problema es el de la competitividad y en la medida que nuestra economía permanezca cerrada, pensando en que se puede crecer mirando hacia un mercado de 40 millones de consumidores, estamos mal. Si pensamos que las industrias protegidas son el camino para el crecimiento, me digo que no, que es el camino para el enriquecimiento de algunos malos empresarios y venales sindicalistas que negocian los saldos de una riqueza para pocos. Aquí nos explica que la hidrovía del Rin responde a sus necesidades específicas como para Suiza, donde el río tiene su origen. Su interés prioritario era tener una vía directa de acceso al mar, ya que tienen 1000 kilómetros de navegación, pasando por 3 o 4 países. Necesitan llegar libremente a los barcos en mar abierto. Algo similar sucede con el noreste de Francia. Alemania recuesta gran parte de su poderosa industria metalúrgica en las riberas del Rin, lo mismo que su industria química y los combustibles. Más al sur, en Holanda y Bélgica, los puertos de Rotterdam, Ámsterdam y Amberes son vitales para sus economías.
Well, and there you see the different stakes and the different interests the riparian states have with good navigability and an efficient river system. This goes far beyond the single interest of the shipping activity as such. It is in fact an interest which serves the economy and the stability of each of the countries.
Pienso que lo que hemos venido haciendo en nuestros países es tirar y tirar cada uno con sus intereses pequeños o por lo menos desconectados de la mirada amplia, integradora y regional. El río Rin a los comienzos del siglo XIX fue una fuente de financiamiento a través de impuestos que pagaban todas las cargas y de una forma tan extendida que el transporte terrestre resultaba más interesante que el transporte fluvial. De ahí que el Congreso de Viena estableció que el río debía ser libre para todas las naciones hasta su desembocadura en el mar.
So the first objective of my organization was to liberalize completely the navigation on the River Rhine. So all levies and all duties were banned and still are banned.
A partir de ello se pudo organizar el desarrollo del tráfico en el río, que por supuesto incluía la navegabilidad que en el siglo XIX tenía una dimensión diferente a la de hoy. Los veleros con un calado de no más de 1,5 metros, con 40-50 metros de eslora como máximo, comparado con los buques de hoy, que van más allá de las 4.000, 5.000 y hasta 8.000 toneladas sobre el río. Hoy es prioritario estudiar el lecho del río, la profundidad del río, su anchura, y teniendo en cuenta la gran variabilidad que depende de muchos factores como las nevadas en los Alpes, las lluvias que caen en la cuenca del río. En la costa de Holanda y Alemania el agua puede subir hasta 7 metros, lo que es por supuesto tremendo.
My organization has laid down, let's say, a dynamic water profile for the River Rhine in order to give industry, shipping industry, but also the land-based industry, some guidelines, some security regarding the navigability. And the navigability for the largest part of the river, it is a natural river, so it's not comparable to the Paraná and Uruguay River, but nevertheless, we have 2.5 meters of more or less guaranteed water depth, and depending on the spot where you are, it may raise to 7, 8 or even 9 meter water depth when there is a big water flow coming from the Alps and coming from the side rivers. And a width going from 100 to 150 meters, enabling on almost all parts of the river a 2 or 3 lane traffic. The member states, they are responsible for maintaining the conditions to allow this performance of the river. It's their matter. They finance without levying the shipping industry for the necessary works to be carried out.
Sobre el río Rin vigila también la Comisión Internacional para la Protección del Rin, bajo la directiva de la Unión Europea, que hace a todo el cuidado ambiental y recuperar el equilibrio ecológico. De la CCNR, que dirige Hans van der Werf, tiene otro mandato más específico de los 5 países ribereños.
We have, regarding the navigation on the Rhine, we have an integrated system. That is to say that all the rules for each of the member states regarding navigation are identical. So they are applied and implemented exactly in the same way in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Switzerland, in France, and so on. And ship owners may address any authority in these countries. So that is the theoretical situation. When it comes to application, then we also have a coordinated jurisdiction. Jurisdiction in first instance is on national level according to the cases, but we have a court of appeal in our organization. So we have independent judges nominated by our member states, but agreed upon by my organization, so they can judge in full independency on Rhine navigation matters. In last instance, the judgments are identical for the 5 countries.
¿Cómo se maneja, bajo qué criterios y con qué procedimientos se llevan adelante todas estas materias? Debió ser un gran desafío.
We do that in Strasbourg. So all the member states, they send their experts to Strasbourg. We set up working groups and committees. These decide on the standards, which are put forward to the plenary session of the CCNR, and the CCNR then decides. And when the CCNR has decided, then the standards become obligatory in each of the member states. We set the standards, and then the member states, they organize the education of their future skippers and captains such that they can attain these standards. The standards are also examined. So we have a system of examinations and of certificates which are delivered only when the competences of the different personnel are demonstrated. And the certificate delivered to the captain of this vessel, which is a Dutch vessel, but we take it that in this example there will be a Dutch captain on board of this vessel. This certificate is valid in Germany, in Switzerland, in France, in Belgium, and even in the rest of Europe. As a German certificate is valid here in the Netherlands.
Establecida la navegación y creado el marco para ejercerla, además de la estandarización de los buques y la profesionalización de las tripulaciones, se vio la necesidad de establecer los requisitos para una policía.
How to navigate and what rules to respect to avoid collisions and so on. And this is a continuous process, which for the River Rhine has not stopped at all. We are fully in it. In fact, we are today extending our area of competence to the whole of the European waterway network. Well, that is a message. If you start, of course, the principles are important and need absolute political support of each of the member states, but at the same time you should give yourself a structure of cooperation, a day-to-day cooperation of each of the member states in a framework of common governance of these rivers. That is what we are doing.
La CCNR ha conformado su estructura. Consta en el plano ejecutivo de 5 delegaciones de los países miembros que constan de 4 comisiones cada una, por lo que hay 20 comisionados de esos países asistidos y asesorados por expertos. El plantel de la comisión es de 150 personas.
If you look at the agenda of today, you find the same areas of competence, but with different goals. We now reflect the, let's say, political constraints and political agenda of Europe today, which in one denominator is sustainable development. Sustainable development combines economy with environment and social constraints.
Y sobre nuestra hidrovía Paraguay-Paraná, ¿qué podrías decirnos como amigo?
Like a friend, well, but it starts with transparency and freedom of navigation. If there is one success factor for the development of the river, of the transport on the River Rhine, it's the freedom and the liberty of navigation. So no secondary or other arguments to combine with the navigation activity. The navigation should be free of all kinds of charges, and then economy can develop.
Dejamos corriendo las aguas del Rin. Vuelvo a casa donde pienso que aún estamos lejos de haber comprendido el tesoro con que contamos. Ojalá podamos establecer ese diálogo donde sobresalgan los grandes objetivos para nuestros pueblos.